Sometimes game developers make mistakes. These usually lead to hilarious glitches like Skyrim's notoriously hilarious ragdoll bounces. However, they also intentionally make a lot of silly, random things that sometimes are just for fun. MrToots. The world of Red Faction Armageddon is pretty dire. The machine that makes the surface of Mars livable for humans has been destroyed, and now the entire planet is ravaged by destructive storms and violent insectoid aliens. So imagine our surprise when a new weapon is unlocked after completing the story campaign. Not just any weapon, mind you, but a cuddly My Little Pony style unicorn. How cute! I wonder why he's named MrToots. I can't possibly think of a reason why he'd be named MrToots. After you finish the gritty game about humanity's fight for survival on an alien planet, they give you a rainbow farting unicorn to play around with. In terms of deliberately random things in video games, this is a strong contender. The weird mushroom. Have you ever stopped to think about Mario? The Nintendo mascot, that is, not Chris Pratt. He is a tiny plumber with baby legs who gets taller by eating mushrooms. That's pretty weird. We've kind of made jokes about this for decades now, about like, oh, what's in that mushroom? But now it's getting weirder. Just weirder. If you ever played Mario Maker, you know this is very true. In addition to the standard range of mushrooms you'd expect from a Mario game, Mario Maker has also included something called the weird mushroom. This freaky fungus turns the already weird baby legs Mario into a gangly, squatting weirdo who looks like an adult who squeezed themselves into a child's costume. Sure, it allows you to jump a little higher, but I don't think Mario is supposed to have knees, or shins for that matter. For decades, the guy has been a baby body, water wiggler legs and feet. That's it. Thankfully, this nightmare fuel randomness is confined to just Mario Maker. Dual Fang. There are plenty of weird weapons featured in video games. A few of them are even featured later on this list, so keep watching. But sometimes games will use random things as weapons. Take Gunfire Reborn, for instance, a fairly new game that's really fun, not gonna lie, you should check it out after you watch this video. The game has a weapon called the Dual Fang, which isn't visibly a weapon, or even dangerous for that matter. No, the Dual Fang takes the form of a chameleon that could probably fit in the size of your palm. You squeeze its belly to fire and you give it a little smack on the head to reload. I haven't kept a lizard myself, but I don't recommend doing this to your lizard. But this is definitely one of the most random weapons we've ever seen. And you can smack that subscribe button to see if you can reload this page into being subscribed. Basically everything in DeathStranding. Making a list of random things in video games, it's impossible not to mention DeathStranding. Hideo Kojima was already known as a big, wonderful weirdo for all the stuff he put into the Metal Gear Solid games, but without a publisher breathing down his neck and keeping him in line, he put all the weird junk he could think of into his next game. So basically, everything in DeathStranding is weird and random. You strap a ghost-sensing baby in a jar to your chest, use grenades filled with bodily waste, and you can blow raspberries at yourself in a mirror. Just because, I guess. You also hork down actual Monster Energy drinks to fuel up for your next delivery, and you can unlock an otter hat that makes Norman Reedus act like a real otter when he's floating on his back. And that's just scratching the surface of random stuff in this game. We could go on a whole list of the random stuff, but we gotta get on to more games. Oh, and that otter hat is given to you thanks to Conan O'Brien. Yes, the late night talk show host Conan O'Brien, who also has a whole list of contributions to games that we could go over in another video. Mr. Fungi. Ratchet and Clank has had plenty of hilarious random things in its 2-decade history, but we're just going to talk about the stuff from the latest game, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. There are obviously top-tier picks like the Topiary Sprinkler, which lays down turrets that turn your enemies into tasteful hedge statues, as well as the Drill Hound, which fires barking drill pups that explode when they reach enemies. But by and far, the most random weapon in Rift Apart is Mr. Fungi. This is a glove that produces a mushroom buddy that tells jokes and fires at enemies alongside you by using finger guns. He's not like super funny, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but he is a fun guy. You can't deny that. Get it? Hand weapons. Speaking of finger guns, Dead Space 2 and 3 have some really random unlocks. In Dead Space 2, completing hardcore mode grants the player with the hand cannon. Sounds like an old-timey pistol, right? Like something a cowboy would use, or maybe even Vash the Stampede's massive blaster. But no, Dead Space 2's hand cannon is one of the big foam fingers you get at any sporting events. Isaac aims it like he would a regular weapon, but instead of firing any projectiles, he just says bang and pew pew pew. It still works on enemies, but it seems to be powered only by Isaac's imagination. Or maybe the aliens are just really generous and willing to go along with his silliness. Either way, it's the most effective weapon in the game. Not just the silliest, but literally the best weapon. Dead Space 3's version of the hand cannon is called the Devil Horns, and is essentially the rocker version of the hand cannon. It works exactly the same, but if Jack Black has taught me anything, it's cooler when it rocks. I can't do the devil horns, I don't have fingers. Hestu's Gift. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is an incredible game. The kind of game that doesn't come around very often, considering we've been waiting 5 years for its sequel. Not mad. However, that doesn't mean it takes itself too seriously. Throughout Breath of the Wild, you can find little wood sprites called Koroks hiding all over the place in ponds, rocks, and even trees occasionally. I thought hunting down and finding all these Koroks to shake them down for the seeds was pretty fun, but then I find out that there are 900 of them, and I kinda gave up looking after a little while. And I'm really glad I did, because the reward you get for spending countless hours looking for the Koroks is an item called Hestu's Gift, which is a gold, well, you can tell what it is, I don't have to tell you what this is. According to the item's description, it even smells pretty bad. So I guess all those seeds we were getting may have not actually been seeds. Pale Rider. When Resident Evil isn't giving you nightmares with its flesh-eating zombies and mutated monsters, it's usually doing something silly and random. It's what makes us love the series. Like when Chris Redfield punched the boulder until it exploded, or all those times Ethan Winters reattaches limbs and just pours a little medicine goo on it. Green herbs just allowing you to just shake off zombie bites and bullet wounds. No big deal. But the Pale Rider from Resident Evil Revelations takes the cake. This looks like something that would be in a spoof of the Resident Evil series. Pale Rider is a gun. There are plenty of those in Resident Evil. That's not the weird thing. The thing is, it has a 5-foot long barrel on this pistol. This Looney Tunes style weapon can be even stronger than the rocket launcher if you attach the right upgrades to it. But the trade-off is you look like a clown. Sombrero. We have to bring up one of Platinum Games' coolest titles that made up its own word, MetalGearrising Revengeance. It's got giant fighting robots, tiny fighting robots, slicing mechanics, a robot dog even. In fact, actually it has a lot of robots. It's also recently had its 10-year anniversary, which makes me feel very old. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is a hyper-action game starring the cyborg version of Raiden. In this game, you chuck an entire 10-story robot over your shoulder, fight a politician who's juiced up on nanomachines, and watch a robot struggle to figure out a way to plug in a USB cable. Clearly, there's no shortage of random things in this game, so what could we possibly be going after? Our favorite, the Sombrero. Early in Revengeance, Raiden goes to Mexico, but he has to keep a low profile, so how does he decide to do this? By covering his cyborg body with a poncho and wearing the biggest sombrero you have ever seen. Real smooth. But I guess if you want people to not notice the cyborg part, they'll definitely be staring at the top of your head. The best thing is, you can buy this costume and make Raiden wear for the rest of the game, undercutting these serious scenes with a comically sized hat. The weird weapons and crossover items of Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is a Capcom video game series, so just like Resident Evil, it has a long history of silliness. From weapons like the Ham of Hams, literally just a big chunk of ham on a stick, to the Pizza Cutter, a sword and shield where the blade looks like a pizza wheel, and the shield is a cat head-shaped pizza. And of course, there is Corn Kid's weapon of choice, the mighty Corn Popper, which is a giant cob of corn that you can beat up monsters with, and I cannot imagine a more beautiful thing. There are also the crossover costumes to consider. Have you ever wanted to go monster hunting with Isabelle and Mr. Rossetti from Animal Crossing? Well, you can in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. There's also the Sonic collab in Monster Hunter Rise that gives your hunters themed clothing and turns your Palicos and Palamutes into Sonic and Tails. If you feel like being intimidated every time you want to take a quest, you can also turn the sweet if a little annoying handler from Monster Hunter World into Mr. X from Resident Evil 2 with a DLC costume. Honestly, this is why why we love you, Capcom. Please never change. What other random items in games can you think of? What are some of your favorites? Please let us know in the comments below, and once again, I am Kino, and if you subscribe to the channel, I'll help you take over the world. I do not promise my effectiveness, but I at least will try.